Whenever you watch a video of your old self, sometimes you get embarrassed. But I feel like I'm quite a bit different.
I'm a software engineer, so I started exposing him to robotics and simple coding.
I know 3 computing languages: Arduino, JavaScript, and Python.
At the age of 5, he was already learning primary 6 science.
The feedback from the teacher is that he already understands what they are teaching, and he's just distracting the other kids.
Sometimes I get bored. I'm just making a simple circuit for everyone to see first.
Previously, it was what he wants to learn, but now it's about what the school wants him to learn.
So for Seth, he'll go on his laptop and he'll do something completely different to what we're doing.
When they watched it, they shared it across the whole school. I ended up with everyone walking next to me at lunchtime asking me about my IQ.
They started mocking about the way he spoke, how he responded to questions. After a while, it really started to get to him.
I just find it really hard to make friends.
Year 8 is the equivalent of Sec 2 for Singapore. He's 1 year younger than his peers because when he was in primary school, he actually skipped a grade. The school provides this program called SEAL, Select Entry Accelerated Learning Program, specifically catered to students who are more academically advanced.
In primary school, I get to choose what I do, but in secondary school, well, I'm forced to conform to the timetable.
The primary school was more of a child-led learning, but in secondary school, because they're getting ready for VCE, which is like the A levels of Singapore, so they have to have a structured program.
I guess it was pretty difficult. Sometimes I get distracted. The rest of the time I'm able to focus still.
Is there a different way that you can power your house?
I think most of it would be from the river, like a hydro well, just spins.
Oh, okay, yep, that's okay because they're not harming the river, yep. Have you considered using sunlight? Basically, Seth is like a sponge for knowledge in the classroom. He's interested in everything and he wants to know everything.
He does work a lot faster. We give the students what we call a do now activity, which is supposed to take sort of the first 5 to 10 minutes of the lesson. Seth just does it in a minute before the class has even properly started and I've explained it.
So he would come up to you while you're still teaching the class and he wants to share that and say, Miss, this is what I've learned, I've just found out.
You'll find generally with your gifted students, if they're not being challenged properly, they will tend to let you know that or just sort of quietly disengage. So for Seth, he'll go on his laptop and he'll do something completely different to what we're doing.
He could tell me so much about a topic, but when it comes to communicating and writing about it, you would get maybe 1 or 2 sentences.
Previously, it was what he wants to learn, but now it's really about what the school wants him to learn. So it's a total change of concept for him.
I just have to constantly remind him to be a responsible person. You respect our teachers and you make sure that whatever homeworks that are given to you, you have to submit them.
The ways I've kind of seen him mature is that he's more open with me about what he isn't enjoying. Miss, I'm finding this boring, or can I do this instead? And normally we're able to come up with some kind of compromise.
It's about saying, hi Seth, just one moment, I'm going to do this with the class first, and then I'll come over and you tell me what it is that you've just looked up and what's interesting. While his preferred method is to work independently, and he's great at it because then he can go as fast as he wants in whatever direction his brain will take him, he'll still need to work under people in the future and with others in the future. So definitely that's an area for him to improve on, I think.
I find just like working with others sometimes is a bit too much for me. It's a bit overwhelming for me sometimes. Some people just like don't like that, I don't know. I just find it really hard to make friends.
What do they not like?
I can't tell. That's the whole point.
You can make it, you need to create a new variable. Random
Get rid of this line of code, right?
attribute.
So I first met Seth last year in year 7 where when me and him were paired together to do our science. So I think it was a couple of months ago. They started mocking about the way he spoke, how he responded to questions, because he was so advanced, people thought that he was trying to be a show-off. After a while, it really started to get to him. He didn't respond to questions in class. He sat by himself in lunch. He didn't respond to anyone.
Sometimes they just make fun of my name. They just say Jeff instead of Seth, which is weird. And the rest of the time they just like they're just like, oh, is your IQ over this? I just either like grab my stuff slowly and just like casually just like walk away.
So I went up to one of the humanities teachers and started discussing the issue with her. If it gets worse, he knows there's a teacher that could actually help him. So he's brought back his confidence and he's back to his old ways.
Alright, let's start with something basic, okay? Square. You gotta choose the X position and the Y position.
Yep.
You've played enough Minecraft to know that.
Yeah. Other than being helpful, loyal and trustworthy, he is so fun to be with. He's, in a way, a glass half full person. Someone that always tries to look on the bright side of life, someone that will try and make a light of every situation. He's such a wonderful teacher. Sometimes he can get a little frustrated if you don't understand the first time, but other than that, he teaches you so well.
For Seth, since young, he's got a mind of his own, and you can say that sometimes he's living in his own world as well. So, which is why he doesn't really mind being by himself in school and not finding the need to make new friends. We think that it might not be a bad thing either because, he's not easily affected by peer pressure.
We just use a plain delta wing. The easiest way to do this is psychosymmetric. Here goes. Yes, I took off.
This one, it's just something made for fun. So essentially, it works the same. You have a player. It has an individual movement script and a health script. Most of these are placeholder textures. And I'm thinking maybe if I get this game really done, or maybe add multiple stages, fully finish up the game, then maybe I'll actually be able to add it to like a indie game hub thing, I don't know. I've actually only been doing this for like 3 days now, so not that long. It's a bit of writing my code myself and searching the forums for something that won't work.
Ever since he started programming games on Unity, he has been learning it himself. They were using C# programming. I haven't done C# before, so I can't help him.
Have you thought about what you want to do after high school?
Probably either become a chemist or game designer. Just because I want to discover new materials maybe. And just like a game designer just because maybe I could create a game. And maybe it even has some good morals.
It's a specialist school that focuses on math and science.
That would be a good cohort to be in because then he can talk about science with people with the same interest.
To us, it's like, oh, they are just different from other children, and we understand that a traditional structure of a school was not how we would thrive.
We came across the CNA article while trying to find schools. It was actually very exciting reading that article because it is a family very similar to ours, school-going children of the same age, and I was like hopeful that it will be us one day. The first week of school, I was sending the boys, and then I saw a familiar face. Is that Mr. E? Is that Ray E, whom I read about? And I approached him. He said, let's have a tour of the school. He actually brought me around the classes where our boys were.
I think living and studying here in Melbourne or in Australia in general, it's not just good for Seth but good for children in general because they get their own space.
I think it's like better, just because like schools in Singapore are like really strict. You have to get over a specific score, and I don't think that'll be like good for me.
Less stress for parents, less stress for the kids, so everyone's happy.
Within our household itself, we don't put any emphasis on like Seth's talent or anything like that, you know. So, if anything, we are only more concerned about him growing up as a teenager rather than like, oh, you are very good at things, you know, you've got your talent and you should be working on things.
We did ask him, so if you don't get into John Monash next year, what would you like to do? And he has an interesting answer. He said that, oh, maybe I will just
quit school,
study online, and then pick up more on the stuff that he wants to do. And it's like, it's really more how he sees his own future rather than what we see in him. Yeah. We think he should focus on his ability to survive in normal life, like without us, cleaning up his mess or trying to get his stuff ready.
Being organized.
Yeah, that's the thing that we are still working on.